The power of our temple has been enough to halt the spread of the poison on Talon 4, but that which remains thrives and grows more concentrated, gnawing on itself in the dark passages beneath the planet's surface. Whether it can ever be truly destroyed is not for our eyes to see. But there is something else. We Chozo are drifting, tumbling through space and time as the great poison eats away at our sanity. We wake in dreams. As the veil of lunacy descends, as past and future blend and shuffle, one image appears and flickers through the landscapes, wrath-like. It is the hatchling, the newborn, walking the path of corruption, a lone figure shining in the toxic shadows. She comes dressed for war, and her wrath is terrible. Do our eyes look backward, seeing the hatchling as she once was? Or does she approach even now, arriving in our race's last hour, a savior clothed in machines crafted long ago by Chozo hands? Poisonous clouds drift across our vision.
Hello again, it's me, DeoGenZ, and we are playing Metroid Prime. We're gonna hit a quick save, because I haven't shown you the save animation in a while, and it's badass. And now, we go through the portal. Okay, it's more of a tube system, but I like to think of it as a portal, because portals are cool. Unless they're a portal to the nether, then it's not so much a cool portal. It's a very hot portal, to be quite literal, and it also sucks if you're planning a vacation. Not really a portal to the prime destination. Heck, Talon 4 in Metroid Prime would be a more prime... Metroid 4. Did I say Metroid 4? Talon 4 in Metroid Prime. I don't know if I botched that. Would be a pretty cool place, minus these spiky monsters. If you can avoid them, I mean, they're just basic slug creatures, though. They're not going to chase you. It's the She-Goth, and, you know, you don't want to go down to the Phendrana Drifts thinking you're going to get in some good skiing. It just won't happen. Avoid the natural flora and fauna, and I do mean it, even the flora here. The floor covered in this particular flora, as you can tell because they're red, they will damage you. Some sort of poison feelers. The normal gray, kind of pale-looking feelers that come from the ground. Oh, you guys again. My least favorite space pirate form. How fortunate for me. How fortunate for me that I have this new fall. Oh, we're in a waterfall, too. New weapon to try out on you bastards. And it makes a mockery of your flight patterns, too. Although I will say, they got beautifully... Wah! What is a friggin' space pirate doing here in the middle of the Talon overworld? Die! Oh, yeah, you fly guy. Where'd you go? Oh, you're all the way up there. What, were you trying to glitch through the waterfall? Think you could catch me? Not so much, bastard. Yeah, that's the beauty of the ice beam. We just unlocked this last episode, so if you missed that and you want to know where to locate this magical weapon, you might want to check that episode. And this is actually a more familiar zone. See, there's those non-harmful flora that come from the floor. Yeah, this is actually more familiar than you think. This is the crashed frigate. Yeah, I bet you forgot about that pretty quickly. And I forgot that we can't actually access it at this moment in time. We're missing a vital suit upgrade that allows us to move through water like a fish. Not like a Frog Mario, I won't say that effectively, but like a fish with no sort of resistance, we will be able to jump around and move unobscured by any sort of liquid. Okay, unless it's the liquid of Phazon. Oh, what the frig? I just killed you guys. But perfect. Absolute sneak attack to get them in an ice lock. And speak of the devil, this is Phazon right here, guys. I know you haven't been seeing Phazon for quite some time, and you've been hearing about the infamous dangers of it in all the lore and pirate data that we've passed over. But this is the actual material. Blue goop from space that makes things evil. And wow, that was really overkill for the door that I didn't mean to do, and it still didn't open it. Go figure. So we can't actually go to that place yet, but this actually puts us in a good position to pick up some other backtracking item necessities, because we need to pick up those Chozo artifacts. I mentioned it on the last episode that we're going to be collecting those to get to the final boss, but there's no better time than now. No better time, no better place than here to start this going and get our collection of artifacts up to date. Because while we may not be able to get them all at this point, there are a good plenty that we can pass through to obtain. That's exactly what you do too, because they're these are translucent hologram-looking type artifacts. The most, intangible artifact that I've ever seen. You say artifact, and automatically your mind goes to some sort of tools from ancient peoples, or maybe some hieroglyphs on a rock that used to be paper back in their day. But you never picture a floating hologram encrypted with data that somehow Samus can pick up. And also pirates can pick it up too. That's the only problem. And that's why we had to fight that Chozo ghost. They are voracious about protecting the containment chamber of that final boss that we have to fight. It's the only way. The Chozo did their best in containing the creature, but it's not stopping it. As we've heard from many of the logbooks before, it just keeps growing. It just keeps spreading. It just keeps emanating. And we touched on this kind of idea very much at the end of last episode, and I wanted to talk about it a bit more, since this episode is mainly about backtracking. Not a new suit upgrade. Not going to fight any final boss. So if you're not up for conversation, I'll catch you next time. But, well, didn't mean to capture that phrase from Matt Goldsman, but I watch his videos so it gets embedded in my mind. And the idea of panspermia. The idea that mushrooms... I was going the wrong way. You have to actually go through this doorway, not over the bridge, through the woods, to grandmother's house we go. Nope, gotta go taking this way, with the Hall of Eyes. I feel like I'm being watched and lasered upon, because I am. So the idea that mushrooms can sustain the vacuum of space with no issue in their spore form, which they produce thousands upon thousands upon thousands in the actual fruiting body that we know as the mushroom. The fruiting body is not even the exciting part of the mushroom. The really crazy thing is most mushrooms can be enormous underground structures that can be larger than a football field in the case of a forest. And in the case of a forest, they create these hyphae networks. Those are the fungal tendrils of the fruiting bodies that we never see. That's the main body of the mushroom. Those things that we see on the surface level, that's just basically their sexual organs. That's them coming in the air, saying, I hope that some of these spores take hold, and if not, well, it's all good. They're pretty much set for anything. I'm sure they can be destroyed if they were put into an incinerator, but not everybody is incinerating every tiny almost microscopic spore that is spread by the mushroom. So it's very feasible to think that, maybe another planet that had mushrooms on it before hit this planet, and like a firmware upgrade completely changed how life worked on this planet, completely changed the way life is able to emerge. Because, for whatever you believe of that stoned ape theory that Terence McKenna had, and I could see you very easily not believing it because he wasn't a scientist, he was more of a philosopher, although a great thinker at that. And that, briefly, is the idea that psychedelic mushrooms were something that expedited the language centers of humans. So I could see you not believing that. But here's something that is an undeniable fact about non-psychedelic mushrooms, and just the nature of some of these shrooms is that in the giant pine forests, there's not enough nutrients in the soil to go around. Now, what is very handy about the mushroom is that it can break down rocks, it can break down minerals, turn it into usable sugars for the plants. And what they'll tend to do is hook up to the root system of a tree, grow from that tree, break down all the minerals in the area that the tree roots couldn't access because it was too hard of a mineral. It wasn't in a usable nitrate or phosphate potassium type form for the plant. The mushroom takes care of that. Mushroom has a spot to grow via the root. And what they do is connect root to root to root to root to make these large hyphae networks, these large fungal networks of underground awesomeness that we don't even know is going on, but is the very reason that forests like that size of magnitudes of the redwood forest, for example, exist. They would not be possible without these fungal networks. It's found that if you put hyphae, if you put those tendrils of the mushroom into soil, your plants will actually grow better because they start to communicate with one another instead of being in exclusive competition with each other to gain the minerals before the other plant does. They instead connect to one another. So these fungal networks not only connect to each other to make one large giant underground mushroom type thing, they transfer their nutrients between the mushrooms, obviously to keep the mushrooms alive, and also to transport nutrients to the trees that need it most. So if there's a tree over on the left southern hemisphere of the forest, I don't know why I said left, I'm so used to navigating in up, down, left, and right terms from D-pad. No! That's how I speak. Damn eyeball omelets. That's what they look like. Freaking ugly omelets with an eyeball in the center that also are electrified. Great creatures. I love Phazon. Not really. So, if it wasn't for these... I was about to say Phazon networks. Yeah, Phazon networks. That's what we need in the forest. We need ravenous deer that suddenly become bloodthirsty because they came into contact with Phazon networks. But it's because that these... Oh, great. More Chozo ghosts. But it's because that these mushrooms exist. It's because that they were able to connect the trees in the forest in the first place that the plants were able to get so large. So in that sense, mushrooms have sped up evolution on this earth. Maybe not human evolution, but I'll leave that to you in the comments.
Throughout our living nightmare, as we battle with this unyielding darkness, we Chozo see a light. This light glows with promise, chasing the shadows cast by the great poison and purifying that which has grown toxic. It is strange, though. At times, it looks to our eyes as if the light coalesces into the figure of a woman. Burning brightly, the luminescence descends from space, then retreats back into the infinite blackness from whence it came. When this prophecy comes to pass, when the light recedes, the Chozo's long vigilance of containment will finally come to an end.